Hello IELTS students, I'm your IELTS tutor Jack, and today's topic is a big favourite for me, cooking. So you may know this about me, it's come up in previous episodes, but I'm a huge fan of cooking. I don't have much time nowadays, but whenever I have time, like on a Sunday, I am so happy to be in the kitchen for 3 or 4 hours preparing a feast for my family or maybe friends come over. I really enjoy that. So I'm looking forward to today's topic. And we've got some nice language. I feel like I can get almost all of this into today's episode. So that's going to be my goal. Really, I've got 10 words. Let's try and get 8 or 9 or even 10 into my answers. That's my goal. And today, as always, this is a new thing. We're going to have this student challenge, which is an opportunity for you to give me your answers in the comments or however you can do that. I know some of you are on podcast, but if you're on YouTube, answer the following question. What is your signature dish? This is so remember these are part 1 questions, so you don't need to say too much, just direct answer, 1 or 2 details. And I'm curious, I want to know your signature dish. Is it one of your country's dishes? Is it from another country? Is it difficult? Is it easy? Tell me about your signature dish. And that's actually not one of today's questions. It's not on today's question list. So I will tell you now, my signature dish is fish pie. Fish pie. Fish pie is a variety of fish with a kind of a cheese cream with potatoes on top, some more cheese, and you put it in the oven. It takes, a couple of hours to cook. It's not easy, but wonderful. Google fish pie so you can see what I'm talking about, and I love it. That's one of my favorite foods. Great. Well, I don't have any student questions today. Let's just get straight into today's topic, cooking, and we'll start with some part 1s to warm up. Number 1, do you enjoy cooking? Yes, I absolutely love cooking. I started cooking from a young age. I think my parents really encouraged me to cook. And as I grew older, I just kept experimenting and trying things. I'm not particularly good. I don't spend a lot of time cooking, but whenever I get the opportunity, I always enjoy it. Next question. What is your favorite dish to cook? So we mentioned signature dish. I think this is a similar question. But I will talk about fish pie. So fish pie is my answer. It's something I learned while living in Korea. I love homemade food, so I'm so keen to try meals like this, especially this British dish, fish pie. And basically, fish, potatoes, cheese, some cream, and you put it in the oven and bake it for around an hour. It's absolutely wonderful. And if you like a drink with it, a nice glass of white wine goes very well. Excellent. So let's move on to part 2. We'll prepare my 2 minutes. And today's part 2 is describe a meal that you cooked and enjoyed. Now, I've talked about fish pie too much, so let's not talk about that anymore. I think, okay, let's give it a go. So, 2 minutes on the clock, and my time starts now. I'd like to tell you about lasagna. When I was younger, maybe 10 years ago, I first tried making lasagna, and it was a success. It turned out to be a meal that takes a long time to cook. It does take a lot of effort, but on the whole, it's relatively easy and comes out well. It often comes out well. I started by following a recipe. I generally get my recipes from YouTube. And over time, I developed it and made it more my own style of food, and it's a bit of a fusion. I sometimes put some Korean ingredients in there. Obviously, it's an Italian dish. And I changed the ingredients a little over time and the method, but now I have my way of cooking lasagna, and my family really enjoys it. So let me tell you a little more about this lasagna. It's a meal that, as I said, it does take time. It's only something we would have on a Sunday. I can't make it regularly. But it can be quite fancy, and it's quite a good one to cook when I'm having friends over. It's a large dish. It looks nice. You garnish it, make it look pretty, and it tastes great. You don't even need to season it much because it contains so many different flavors, and you just add a bit of salt and pepper, and it's a wonderful meal when you're having an Italian. For me personally, it's such a good dish because you can just eat a lasagna. You don't need any other dishes. You can add some vegetables. Sometimes we'll add peas or some kind of green vegetables. But on its own, it's a wonderful dish. It's also very large. Okay, so today I did get onto the opinion section of my structure. You know that because I said, for me personally, I always say, for me personally, and I gave my opinion about the dish. And yes, that's my other, not signature dish, but a dish that I really like cooking. How about you? Do you cook lasagna in your country? Is that a popular meal? In Korea, I don't think people often cook it, but it's popular in restaurants. So I think we're doing well with today's language. So you can keep track. I don't know right now, but you can keep track of that in the subtitles, and I'm highlighting the words. So hopefully it's going well. Let's do some part threes. Do you think cooking is an important skill to have? Yes, I think culinary skills are really important because it gives you more options when it comes to your diet. I think that if you rely on restaurants and takeout food, delivery food, you may have some issues with health. I think that they don't use healthy ingredients. If you cook your own food, you have more options. You can use more nutritious ingredients. And I think that's very important for your health and then your family's health if you're cooking for others. Okay, how has the way people cook changed over the years? So this is an interesting one that I have heard about. One of the trends in this country, South Korea, is that people are cooking less. So nowadays, apartments are designed so that the kitchen is much smaller than it used to be, and more room is given to the living room. I personally find this very sad because as I said before, I think cooking is an important skill, but people are moving away from cooking and just buying instant meals. They're getting it delivered to their home, or they're going out to restaurants. So it's a skill that's becoming less common, and therefore kitchens are getting smaller. So that was a good answer, actually, because I was really familiar with that question, and I could draw from knowledge I have on the subject, so I could get really ultra specific about kitchen sizes. So if you can do that, do draw on your knowledge and experience. Finally, how can cooking at home benefit individuals and families? Well, I've said a lot about nutrition, and that is important. So let me focus on something a little different. I think that one of the big benefits of cooking at home is that you can experiment with different cuisines, different ingredients. You can broaden your palate. You can become more comfortable with different flavors. So I think about that a lot with my daughter. You know, there's a lot of young children who are very picky eaters. They don't eat vegetables or even fruits in some cases. And I'm really trying to give my daughter a diverse palate a diverse love for food and ensure that in the future, she's really comfortable with different countries' foods and ingredients and cuisines. Excellent. So, looking through this list, I think I did 9. I covered 9 of the vocabulary, which is pretty good. I'm happy with that. I didn't use appetizer. I know I didn't use that. I see it here. I didn't use that. Appetizer, of course, is a great word. I say starter normally, but appetizer is the first small dish you will have at a restaurant. Excellent. Loved it. Really enjoyed that topic. I always love talking about food and cooking. You probably know that now from listening to other episodes of the podcast. So thank you for listening today. Of course, I always say, please like, subscribe, or leave comments. Just interact with me and I will interact back. I love seeing the things that you say about each topic. And if you're on a podcast platform, I do appreciate your reviews. I will be back next week. Of course, I'll be back for the next perhaps 30 or 40 weeks with different topics. And next week, well, our next topic is cultural differences. Huge topic. But next week, we have a bonus episode. I will say no more. It is a bonus episode that's coming up. You will see more about that very soon. So I'm looking forward to that. Have a lovely week, study very hard, and I look forward to seeing you next week for a bonus episode. Bye-bye.